Hey, monkey boy. This time I can prove the Israelites weren't black using ChatGPT. Ha!
So that's what we're doing now? Using AI?
What was that? I couldn't hear you over that smoke alarm chirp you people can't hear. Say that again?
Hilarious and original.
Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original.
I said, is that what we're doing now? Using AI to prove who the Israelites are?
That's exactly what we're doing, and I'll show you, boy.
Oh, brother.
2 hours later.
Your room still stinks.
Look at how easily ChatGPT debunks everything you chimps have to say. Ha! You was not kings, and you was not Israelites.
If we're going to use AI, then let's at least use an AI that's trained on the Bible without the Masoretic mistranslations or any agendas and actually tells us the truth.
Liar, there's no such thing.
I'll show you. Let's use Israelite Bot. Go to IsraeliteBot.com and ask the same thing.
Fine, but I bet it'll say the same thing as ChatGPT. No! No!
You see? I told you.
No!
And it shows biblical proof.
No! This is preposterous. I hate this website. It's all wrong.
Stop crying.
Your website sucks.
The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. This morning is going to be, well, first I want to say shout out to Brother Yakoba, because I know a lot of our people get squeamish because we want to be comfortable, because a lot of our people in our hearts, we love Babylon. And understand that when you're going through a controlled crash, this is what it is. It's a controlled demolition. People are telling you what's happening. People are showing you what's happening. And if you can't put the pieces together, then you're going to fall right into the demolition. You're going to fall right into the trap. And they're showing you the trap that's being set. I want to go here just to give you some of let me get this. Not bad. I thought I had this. Yep, there it is. All right, so I'm going to start here. Revelations chapter 17. Because I want to give you all some context before we get into this thing. I'm going to try to give it to you real quick because I got to be out of here around 10 o'clock. So I got to get this over, have you all think about it, and have you all pray about it. All I'm going to do is give you what's happening in this world right now. This is Revelation 17, King James Version. So we've been talking about the judgments that's been going on. We've been going back into the scriptures, looking at what we see in Isaiah, Jeremiah, Habakkuk. And now we're understand this is the time when we're in captivity. And it's and Yakoba was in this yesterday. We're gonna overcome, and as we're overcoming, listen what happens. Because I want you to really truly pay attention to what is on the stage right now as we speak. And I'm going to start here at Revelation 17, verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Okay, 1 hour with the beast. These are 10 kings in power for an hour. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called chosen and faithful. So we are chosen and faithful as we're seeing this thing happen, because it's not by might, it's not by power, but by the Spirit. Whose spirit? Yahuwah's spirit. What is that? The Ruach HaKodesh says who? Says Yahuwah. This is how we are overcoming through the Lamb, through Yahushua HaMashiach, because we're not going to overcome in any type of power. I know that's hard in a system that trusts its flesh, but let me show you what's happening with this. This is Revelations 17 and 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. This is the whole world. What is that through? What is that control through? Through the SWIFT system. I should know SWIFT by heart. Societies of worldwide, international, or interbank financial transaction. Let me make sure I bring that up. Yeah, Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, not transaction, telecommunication. So you ain't doing business unless you are on that ride, on that boat, unless you are chilling with the whore, because the whore is the one controlling the purse strings. But how can you have a king? How can you be a kingdom if you ain't got no power or authority? Everybody wants to have some sort of power. Everybody wants to have some sort of authority, especially if you want to have power in your own flesh. But now they have an alternative. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So I want to show this.
To reduce all of a lot of they want to reduce a lot of social benefits. They want to reduce pensions across the board, certain unemployment benefits and groups of unemployment, and raise taxes for the poor and the middle class, but decrease taxes of the upper class. And they want to do this in order to meet the NATO's desire of 5% investment, 5% of GNP, the country's GNP, to meet NATO's targets. Now, NATO's targets come from an off-the-cuff remark of Donald Trump like a year ago. And so NATO's doing it just because they're like little poodles. They're little of America.
There are little poodles, little B words of America. That was about an hour ago. Times of India. Fair use. I really don't like to play a lot of these because then they'll be like copyrights and everything. This is fair use, educational. rewind that so you all can get what's happening as that man is talking, because he is really explaining what is happening here.
They want to reduce a lot of social benefits. They want to reduce pensions across the board, certain unemployment benefits and groups of unemployment, and raise taxes for the poor and the middle class, but decrease taxes of the upper class. And they want to do this in order to meet the NATO's desire of 5% investment, 5% of GNP, the country's GNP, to meet NATO's targets. Now, NATO's targets come from an off-the-cuff remark of Donald Trump like a year ago. And so NATO's doing it just because they're like little poodles. They're little of America.
That was actually pretty strong terminology. This protest is actually happening as we speak right now. It's happening in Brussels as of the 26th. Of June. That's today. You had the NATO summit, which happened the 24th and 25th of June. Just wrapped up yesterday. You have to understand all the timing that ends up happening in this coordination. Remember, you had a ceasefire that they tried to do on Monday? The ceasefire happens to coincide with NATO. And what do you think is happening in the ceasefire? Everybody's drawing the line in the sand. You have the Iranian foreign minister traveling to both Russia and China. They're getting back up. The ceasefire is not over by any means. All the ceasefire did was state that, you know what, we're going to have a cessation of hostilities. And then I told you yesterday, I said, look, it ain't going to be lasting that long. Less than 6 hours later, I can't make it up. I thought I was going to at least have like a 12 hours. No, they literally came on out, and now they're saying, well, Iran can get a nuke. Now they're saying, well, they're saying Promised Land will be attacked again. Nah, Embo, I don't think the Promised Land will be attacked again. Their Promised Land, they're going to do the attacking. They're going to do the attack, and you're going to see them do the attacking. But when they do that, they're going to, quote unquote, throw America under the bus. Remember, they got to manufacture the villain. Even though it was them that, that punched first. Understand the calculations here. It's the calculus. And you're doing a good job figuring out the formula and the equations of sorts is that now you're chasing them down in really real time. And when you're chasing things down in real time, especially when it comes to Hebrews, Israelites, African Americans, you know what ends up happening? We start talking about it. And you know what happens when we start talking about it? Other nations listen. And you know what happens when other nations listen? They get mad because we're no longer able to be controlled. Brother Doug Rice said that just happened. Oh, Manasseh tribe. Woo-hoo. Oh, 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 we're going to get to that. Allow me to cook and simmer. You know, I like to be a chef. But I'm not Raekwon, and I don't have a Wu-Tang clan. Oh yeah, no, John Claude JCVD, John Claude Van Damme is about to, do a Chuck Norris kick across the face along with Europe, because they're telling you the sentiment of Europe. We're not wanting to be subjected to the dollar, because what are they subjected to? The dollar. And now what's being asked of them? Pay more money. Why do they have to pay more money? Because America's going broke. Why is America going broke? Because it can't finance any more wars. Why can't it finance any more wars? Because they're going broke trying to keep the lie alive. And what did I tell you? The more that they have to keep the lie alive, the worse it's going to be, because the nations are starting to read America's mail. Oh, you don't want to tell. Oh, you're not trying to tell the truth. Oh, we get it. Oh, we see, and we're going to tell on you. Remember, I was talking to you about the truth and nothing but the truth, and you can't handle the truth. Here's from Press TV. This is 5 hours ago. Israeli settlers from Al-Aqsa Mosque compound perform Talmudic rituals under IOF protection. This is from Press TV. For us, that doesn't surprise us. But now, who's also reading this? Who's also listening to this? Who's also trying to understand this? The Eurocentrics. What do you mean perform Talmudic? What do you mean Talmud? What do you mean all these Sanhedrin things? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? We've always said that the war was always going to be about us. But they couldn't really tell you that it's about us, because you can't tell you who the us is, because that would throw off the narrative. But that doesn't mean anything. We've known, look, they're just a people we got from Africa. They're just the people we got from Africa. There were nobodies, right? They're so quick to denigrate, but they don't even want to ask the questions. Do you know what that is? That's foolishness. That's foolishness. The reality is that you have a foolish nation. Why do you have a foolish nation? Because what do fools not do? Fools don't question. Fools don't research. Fools have a lack of knowledge. And fools rush off into what? Destruction. These are all the things that you can look about Bible verses about foolishness. You can even go to openbible.com or .info. I'll share this with you so you all know. Because you can just find at least the top find, and there you go. You will have it. Proverbs 1:7. This is ESV. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. The natural person, 1 Corinthians 2:14. The natural person does not accept the things of the spirit of Yahuwah, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are not spiritually discerned. Psalms 14:1, to the choir master of David. The fool says in their heart, there is no Elohim. There is no Yahuwah. They are corrupt and they do abominable things, and there is none who does good. The fool does not do good. Do you see? That's why you had genocide. James 1:26. If anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his heart, that person's religion is worthless. They now have a worthless religion. Proverbs 29:11. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. And here's the one. Proverbs 18:2. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his own or his opinion. Is that not what we have in this nation right now? I don't want to understand you. I don't want to think about things. I don't want to know. I don't want to know if Trump's playing me. Keep it on the low. Because NATO can't take it anymore. Because you're foolish. That war's gonna let it show. Oh, America, I don't wanna know. Why does NATO treat me that way? What does Russia and China have to say? Why Iran's got to do? Oh my goodness. Had some Carl Thomas remixes up in here. Oh my goodness. Oh, they don't want to know. And now, you know, but you're acting like you don't know. Trump going after your birthright. Trump going after your birthright faux show. Your citizenship is going to be no more. You know, but you acting like you know. Who run it? I wish I never at all, at all. And I wish I never voted. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. He said no war, no more, but I never. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Brother A7, if you can give me that article. Oh, it's not really a laughing matter, but you have to look at this. Here's this. Here's U.S. Supreme Court ending term with birthright, foreign voting rights. I don't know, but the thing to me, the most important thing to me in this one is birthright. So they talk about the beginning of the article, and then they go to birthright citizenship. This is from AFP, the Associated Free Press. They do that because they're trying to hide behind things because folks don't want to, they don't want to put their names on out. You got to put your name to that article. Put that chest to that article. What you wrote about, the rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora and BRICS. Guess what? I put my chest on that article. I raised my chest on that one. Yep. I wrote that less than a year ago, last year. Less than a year ago. I wrote that in July. Got it published in August. Put my name on in there and said, yep, I'm going to say it with my whole chest. And now everything that's going on, yeah, I wrote about that. Let me get to this. Let me get this out. There we go. The case is ostensibly about Donald Trump's bid to scrap birthright citizenship, but it actually turns on whether federal judges have the right to issue nationwide blocks to presidential decrees. That's what they're trying to say. We'll just read the article. It's perhaps the most significant of the remaining cases since it would have far-reaching ramifications for the ability of the judiciary to rein in Trump or future U.S. presidents. That's what they're trying to say. Trump's executive order ending automatic citizenship for children born on American soil has been paused by district courts in Maryland, Massachusetts, and Washington that deemed it unconstitutional. But the question before the Supreme Court is whether a single district court can freeze an executive ban with a universal junction. The Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to restrict the application of a district court's injunction solely to the parties who brought the case and the district where the judge provides. We'll get whatever the 9 justices decide, the actual question whether Trump can legally end birthright citizenship is expected to be back in front of the top court before long. These are all, it's leading somewhere. I gave this question to Sister Shar. for legal analysis. She had rebuffed because it there's a lot to chew on. And as a lawyer, you're not going to say anything until really a judge has its say, and then you start to understand the analysis of what the judge is stating. And whether or not that opens the door to other legal challenges. But I'm not a judge, and I do not trust my own analysis. But I want to give you a little bit. Let me share this. Let me give you a little bit of what I asked Gemini, Google's version of AI. And I asked it this question. Could the ending of birthright citizenship affect the legal status of African Americans in the United States? Excuse me. And how so? According to Gemini, it states this: yes, ending birthright citizenship could significantly affect the legal status of African Americans in the United States, primarily because of the historical context and original intent of the 14th Amendment. Now, let's see what the robot has to say. Historical context in the 14th Amendment. The citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. This clause was a direct response to the Supreme Court's infamous Dred Scott versus Sanford 1857 decision. And Dred Scott, the Supreme Court ruled that Black people, whether enslaved or free, could not be U.S. citizens and had no rights which the white man was bound to respect. This decision effectively denied citizenship and fundamental rights to African Americans. The 14th Amendment was specifically designed to overturn Dred Scott and ensure the formerly enslaved people and their descendants born in the U.S. were definitely recognized as citizens. It was a cornerstone of Reconstruction era efforts to guarantee equal civil and legal rights for Black Americans. I have this on up here. Look, it's pinned. If folks want to come on in, I want to hear folks that have a dissenting opinion. If they think that that's not going to be the case, I want to discuss that. Why not? Because you're seeing the smoke and mirrors. You see the smoke, but here's the mirror. Exactly, Brother Asaph. Why do you think they are busy removing evidence of slavery? Let's go on and see what the robot has to say. Potential impacts on African Americans if birthright citizenship is ended. If birthright citizenship, as understood through the 14th Amendment, were to be curtailed or ended, it could have several profound effects on African Americans, undermining the basis of African American citizenship. The 14th Amendment is the constitutional bedrock of African American citizenship. Any reinterpretation or weakening of this clause would, in essence, weaken the very legal foundation that affirmed Black Americans as full citizens after slavery. It could resurrect arguments or principles that were explicitly rejected by the amendment. They didn't go that far into it, and I don't need to go into the caste systems and the future challenges and all that other stuff. I don't care. If you want to see this, I'll put it in the community post. If you all want to get more of, whoa, Brother Karras, I wanted to see what you said, so I'll put that in the community post. The question asked to AI's Gemini. I'll put that there so you all can see that. You all can get an understanding. You all can read in depth what was being stated, what was being asked. This is how Gemini responded. And you can read that for yourself in that interpretation. So it likes to, it likes to give the fluff arguments. Oh, that all could happen, but it's not gonna. It's not too. It's too hard. It's too this. It's too. It's too. It's too. Oh, don't worry. It tries to, nullify. It tries to create that, it's never going to happen. Don't worry about it. It lulls people to sleep. Because why? Because that's the whole issue of this. Let me lull you to sleep. It'll never happen. I always say, for those folks that say that it's never going to happen, that's when you have to be very careful. A lot of things that were never supposed to happen are actually happening right now. A lot of things that they say is never, ever. That's what I've been saying, Sean. Dumb diverses till they say so, till the Pope says so. And the Pope is now an American citizen. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So the Pope that's an American citizen, that's actually over all of, literally all papal states, to include the United States, will literally have to admit guilt. I believe that's why they put the Pope there, as the literal administrative authority. Executive and administrative authority. Well, he's your Pope. He's also an American. See? They rescinded that. So I have that posted there for folks to see what I'm saying, to read what I've read, what I posted. There you go. You can do the same criteria for AI and see what AI says. Do your thing. Fact check, fact check, fact check. Because here's another one. Mm. Give me a second. Yeah, brother A says sometimes you all in the UK are able to get to things that we're not able to. Angel Vanette said, Chat GPT said the same thing. I'm just saying. I believe that's what she probably meant. Chat GPT said something earlier. I just wonder which direction. Will the government go if the 14th Amendment is abolished? She's wondering which direction the government will go if the 14th Amendment is abolished. Will we be kicked out or will they try to resurrect slavery? I don't know. You gonna stay here and be a slave, or are you gonna get kicked out? I honestly think the best option is to be kicked out at that point. I'm not gonna be here to find out. Well, how is slavery? Do we at least get a union with slavery? What are those slave wages again? Can I be in the big house with master in slavery? I think I'm gonna take my chances. Option A, get kicked out. Option B, become a slave. You know what? I'm gonna take option A. I think I'll be able to make it on my own. Hallelujah. I think I'm on my own. Black Census 2026. You decide. CNN is reporting in the You Decide vote that when it comes to the consensus between African Americans either being kicked out of America or being here in America as a slave and returned to the cotton fields and free labor, the results are in. Overwhelmingly, 97% of African Americans decide to leave. Well, they decided to leave. Oh, Sister Chantel, I knew you were going to have to come in on this one.
Hello, shalom to everybody in the chat. Excuse me. I literally just sat down to just have my my Japanese hot pot that I cooked. And I just put on the telly and I'm like, okay, oh, what's going on? They want to do what? Remove the 14th Amendment.
Yes. That is on the that's on the docket.
They're really not hiding anything now, are they? They're just literally They won't say it, but it's what it's the actions they do that tells you everything, you know. But what does the scripture say? It says, you know, the ditch that you dig, you're gonna fall into. Not only that, we already know that our people aren't going into slavery again. Look, he said what he said. And I know all of us, this isn't for us here. This is for any of our people that haven't woken up, that happens to come across your channel listening and like, oh, what are they talking about? The Most High said what he said. If he said we were going to go into captivity and it was going to be the worst captivity ever, not just the worst captivity to ever happen to us, but the worst captivity to ever happen to anybody, anywhere across the world, and it's happened, then and that we was going to lose our identity in the process of that. And the only thing that was going to let us know who we was the severity of that captivity. If that being said, and it said that in the scriptures, and we know that, and we've seen our history, and it relates back to that, and it tells us all of that, then why do we doubt what the Most High said? To things that are still about to happen that haven't happened. We need to just be like, you know what? He said what he's gonna do, and he said what he said, and it's happening. He said, I'm gonna put you into captivity. The Most High literally kissed his teeth at us and said, I'm fed up of Israel now. Gwe, you lot can go into captivity. He said he was gonna do it. He did it. We know he did it. We are living in it. We're still in captivity. So anything else, if he says that you're not going, this is not for you, I'm going to put them into it. All these curses that were on you are going to be on them. We already see that. What the fact that they're so discombobulated was a curse that happened to us before we went in, before they took us. The fact that they are suffering from their own civil war where they're infighting, that happened to us. The fact that the elders and their youngsters, there's a disconnect between the two, that happened to us. The fact that we're seeing the men versus the women, well, we already know. We're still kind of in it, but we're actually coming more together. There is more togetherness than there is separation of Yashara, and that's mainly because of the fact that we understand we've only got each other, and we're seeing all the curses that were on us, on them. So if we see all of that, if we know all of that, there should be no doubt that what is about to happen is not for us. He said, I'm going to save you. He said, no man is going to redeem you. No man is going to buy you. The only person that can buy us, that can redeem us, is our Father. That's it. So I'm not even stressed. I'm not worried. I mean, day to day, yes, because we're still under their grasp, and we still have to deal with the fact that these people are just prolific when it comes to wickedness, and the evil that they do is just, it's astounding. But in terms of collectively what they plan to do to us, let them keep doing, let them try to do their worst, because look, they tried it with the 5 years ago. And what happened?
Oh, it got demonstrably worse
For them.
For them, it got demonstrably worse. And now you understand when you have, as I was showing, I just looked at this. Let me see if I can find this on Times New World. There's a lot of things that's happening in Europe right now. So what I showed was the fact that the Europeans, especially over there in Brussels, they were having a tizzy for the most part. I guess, if that's, you know, the proper
tizzy.
terminology.
Yes.
So, you know, The idea is that EU has been told that they need to pony up 5%, or excuse me, NATO countries have been told they need to pony up 5%. The NATO countries, they're there, the citizens are there, and the citizens are actually asking their countries to not support it because they can't afford to support it. Why can't they afford to support that 5%? That's 5%. You're telling me that your household it can't support a 5% bill? No, it can't. Why? Because they don't have access to the continent like that.
Exactly.
They don't have
Everyone's broke.
access. Yep, they don't have access to Africa like that. They don't have access to the nations that they once had access to. The nations that they once had access to, guess what they're doing? They're taking back their resources, taking back their gold.
I love that. Do you know why I love it? I love it so much. I love it to death because in their mouths, they said, we ain't giving you lot reparations. Reparations, which part? And Africa was like, oh, you're going to pay.
They're making them pay. They're making them
One
pay
way or another.
by them not getting access. Do you know that that's actually reparations? They're not paying.
Exactly. That's even worse. And not only that, they're going to deplete everything that they do have so that eventually they will be paying them because it's like, for me, let's just say I'm Africa and you're Europe and you've depleted pretty much all your resources. What happens next?
You got to either find some resources. You have to go back to the spot that has the resources and you got to renegotiate.
Right. But you also understand you can't go up in there or arms house like you used to.
Bingo.
You know, you've got two, you're right, or they're left, whatever. You've got on the other side of you've got two superpowers now, right? Who have joined it, who they're joint, right? Along with the other three members, along with the other sub members, you can't do anything. You have to come with your begging bowl. Please, sir, can I have some more? And you're going to have to humble yourself. Now, I'm Africa. You're coming to me. And I'm like, I'm kind of feeling myself right now. So what do? You don't want to give me reparations. You haven't done what you should have done. You've done badly to us. You've done extremely badly to our people that have been underneath you. What am I going to do? I'm going to make sure you pay. Everyone else will get a certain percentage off, but you are going to pay over and above because you did that to me. You took money. You literally made me pay. You made me poor. So I am going to take back what you stole from us in terms of not allowing us to sell our resources at market value. So I'm going to take back that plus the interest added onto that, plus for the hurt and pain I'm going to take from that. Do you know what? If we're going to be honest, if Africa does that, which I really hope they do, if Africa does that, yeah, do you know Europe, the West consecutively would be broke within probably a year?
I was going to say 6 months, but yeah, I would say 6 months. Europe is already breaking right now. They've been breaking since 2023. And the reason I say they've been breaking since 2023 is because in earnest, that is when they were a year into the war and they were actually thinking that they could keep things handled. The problem that was happening was that you had going on a lot of the coups. And remember, they were mad about the coups. And guess what they were mad about with the coups? They were mad that Nigeria and Ghana and Ivory Coast did not step up for them in ECOWAS to regain and reestablish control. Remember, that was the whole thing. They were telling Nigeria, you better get on in there and stop them. In Nigeria, remember, they were trying to formulate, and they're like, man, we ain't doing that. They said, we ain't doing that.
And ECOWAS tried to flex their little simple muscle, but it weren't happening. It really weren't happening. You didn't eat your spinach, darling. It weren't happening.
Yeah, they tried. Yeah, no, they absolutely tried. And because they were trying. Do you know what ended up happening? ECOWAS sets the desperation. And what does Africa do? Africa's shrewd. Oh, y'all want to sit there so bad. How much y'all gonna pay us? That's the next.
Exactly.
How much
exactly.
How much you're gonna pay us? We're not gonna pay you nothing. Get on in there and get do your job. What? Then they, it is our brothers. Then they started to come through. It is our brothers, and we cannot do things to our brothers because it is a very bad thing for us to do things to our brother. No, they didn't care about that.
No, there was not. There's never really been that kind of unity.
No,
in Africa for a very long time.
They only put that front on because they weren't getting paid. That was the reality of it. And they're like, all right, let's do this thing cheap. That's when they tried to do so many assassination attempts because they're thinking, okay, well, you know what? We're just going to have them do whatever they're going to do. And they're just going to love us. And they're going to love us so much that they're just going to say, sure, how quick do you want it? Do you want the head on a silver platter? You let us know. Europe, we love you. No. It actually ended in reverse because then what ended up happening was you had a lot of protests on the streets in a lot of different countries, particularly in Nigeria. Remember that? That was a really bad one.
I remember that. And that's one of the reasons why they couldn't really move. Because the youth, they're fed up. The young people fed up.
Yep. Do you know that right now? Look, and I was explaining that we had that video last week of the supposed, white Pan-Africanist. Pan-Africanism is actually a good thing. Yeah. Okay, and they hated Pan-Africanism.
I'm sorry. Say what? Huh?
Yeah.
Did you say white Pan-Africanism?
Yeah.
No.
Did you not see that? Oh, it's like we need to support that. We used to not support it. We used to think it was a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, right?
Hold on. Look, I'm not being facetious. I'm just. You said white Pan-Africanism?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that
they're trying to now.
Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm not joking. I'm being serious. I didn't know that was a thing. It's anything to do with white is just white supremacy to me. So white Pan-Africanism,
well, they have to try to change a different skin, right? They got to try to change it. Well, now we support them. Now we understand how much they need to be liberated from the system, and we're here to help them and invest in the system because this is the new investment goal. You understand that's their pivot. Hey, we're not going to be able to make
they
money
only
like
have
that.
systems upon systems upon systems. It's the only way they know how to operate. Just systems. We need to have this in place. We got to have that. You can't just ever let something just be. It's like I used to be like not triggered because I'm not going to go that deep, but I used to think people were a little bit much when they used to call certain people synthetic, right? But then when when you start to see the things that they do and the things that they put in place, or we need a system and we need this and we need, and I'm like, all of that just sounds so synthetic to me. It sounds so forced, so like you can't just let things naturally happen. I mean, the one thing that I know about the Most High and about his people, or what he wanted for his people, he wants, for example, if you look at how he wanted his people to have the altar, he said, I don't want it smoothed out. Don't do it like how the heathens do it. I want the rough stones. Just literally find 12 large stones and put them one on top of the other. You know, there had to be a distinction while they're trying to set up all these systems and having this, that, and that in place and blah, 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 blah. You know, and the thing about systems is that if one thing falls, it all ends up coming, you know, it all ends up falling down and it becomes a disaster. But it's like nature doesn't do that. Things that are natural, if something's cut down, it grows back up again. If something's uprooted, there's a way, nature finds a way to reseed it, to propagate it. So it's like, it's just everything they do is just completely against what is the norm, what is natural, what is supposed to, they can't just ever let things just be. And it's frustrating to watch. And I think for some of them it's frustrating as well, because I think a lot of them are actually, well, not a lot, but some of them are actually starting to wake up to that fact.
Absolutely. Brother Asaph.
Shalom. Shalom. The West has been
Shalom.
yes, I've been working real hard in the background. The West is like a chameleon, and a chameleon can only change to so many colors, and they've run out of colors to change, and they cannot reinvent themselves anymore, because every invention has been a conduit to infiltrate our religion, our culture, and our personage. And we have decided that we don't need to deal with them anymore, because all they've been giving us in exchange is nothing. And the manipulation has to stop at some point. And we've woken up worldwide and we've decided that, you know what, we're coming out of this system and we want our corrupt leaders out. And one of the beautiful things that has happened is that all the youth worldwide are rising up and understanding that there's nothing in the Western democracy or the Western systems to offer, because as the philosopher Plato points out, that the ruler is a strong man and democracy is just a facade. And that facade has gone on for hundreds of years now, and it's put our people at the bottom. And we have decided to reject Western philosophies, Western religions, and it's coming to an end now. And they realize that, and that's the reason why you're hearing this foolishness about European Pan-Africanism. When has Europe ever supported Pan-Africanism?
Exactly.
They've assassinated 27 of our leaders in Africa. They've assassinated Arab leaders who haven't agreed with them, or any other leader, even on their own soil. Even that 21-year-old Stokely Carmichael, who they saw a political threat in your country. So they can't talk to us about reinventing themselves and being aligned with us. It's like asking yourself to drink diluted cyanide over the years and think it won't kill you.
Well, you know, the thing is that that's what has been, that's been their delusion. Their delusion is that they think that they can wear what? All these masks, right? All this clay. They can change their makeup and be like, hey, we're for you now. We see this all the time in the West, right? Oh, well, we're protesting because the protest is not just affecting you, it's affecting us. I mean, you know, we're here for you when it's actually affecting us, but it's affecting you. So we need you to help us Man, get out of here. That's why black folks are like, here, especially United States, we're good. We're doing what we need to do. We're coordinating how we need to coordinate. We're working with our people in the background. That's it.
You know, it's like that. You know that famous picture that we've seen of the wolf covered in the sheep's clothing. That's what they're trying to do, especially with this whole white Pan-African. It just sounds weird in my mouth. Honestly,
Yeah,
white Pan-Africanism.
Yeah, and they know it's kind of like well, you know that it is drinking poison. Well, if that's all I got to drink, then I got to drink something. You see what I'm saying? If this is it, because the whole idea is, remember, their ego is based on the fact that there is none like them and there is no other. So for them to be dropped down a peg, that's the essence of their existence. Their existence is now in question. Don't get that twisted. Do you think that they really want to have to beg Africa? Do you really think that they really want to now have to utilize a dollar that is now being subjected?
No, we already know these people don't want to beg for nothing.
Do you realize that the dollar's devaluation worldwide has gone to such a point that the Treasury doesn't even want to do international transactions for folks that are here trying to send money back to their families? So what do you think happens if people are not being able to transfer funds over to their families? Especially for those in China, Chinese citizens, Indian citizens. What do you think's going to happen next? They're going to leave.
There's no benefit.
Exactly.
When the United States is currency is going to be downgraded, they're not going to agree with it, and it's going to happen. I think that the bodies that look at the economies and the standing of currencies will downgrade the American dollar, and the reinvention of the digital dollar is not going to save them either, because if the paper isn't worth anything, the electronic version is not going to be worth anything anyway.
Exactly. I find it funny when I hear economists talking.
Your ones and zeros aren't going to be good either.
And
nothing.
You see, the issue that I have as well is the continent and the academic are now.
Uncle, your reception's really bad.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now
a bit better.
Yeah, I'm saying that the continent and India and everybody is listening to us now, and they're saying we should have listened to black people a long time ago. And what's added to our credibility is that you've got writers like Caris, who's extensively written about BRICS. I hope you don't litigate against me, but I stole something for my second book from you and I haven't credited you with it, Caris.
That's okay. That's only going to be $100,000. I'll give you my. I'll give you my.
Hey, Uncle! You know you should have done that. You know, Americans they sue for everything. They sue.
In my second.
I took the shower invoice you. All right, you all right?
Yeah, it hasn't gone to the publishers yet, so I think I'm going to go back in and I'm going to re-reference it.
Hey, Caris, are you going to sting him? Are you gonna do to him what Sting did to P. Diddy?
Every step I take.
Yeah. Every money you make.
Yeah, but my second book on pure economics is completed. I've been so ill that I was in the hospital over the past couple of days. I've been burning the candle like there's no tomorrow.
Are you okay now?
Yeah, trying to get these two. I got one project finished. My first book, which is 452 pages with Chicago referencing, and the second one has Harvard referencing, and that's going to be about the same length, if not longer. But I'm actually putting it out there that the Western economy is absolutely, completely finished, and the decline started from 1450. You know, that's what I've been looking at up to present. And muskets, guns, the microchip and AI is not going to save them.
It's always a re-evolution, right? And a re-industrialization. There's always going to be something, you know.
Even the climate change thing is another form of reindustrialization.
Yes.
You know, and we have been looking at things from a critical angle, and Karis, you're a bad influence, Yakoba's a bad influence, and Minister Taya and Sister Shanda are bad influences, because the stuff that you guys have been putting across the internet, you know, I don't include myself, is really stirring up people, because even though they're not saying it on our channels, we hear other channels regurgitating
Yes,
they're regurgitating our talking points. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I've been hearing it.
Yeah,
I've literally been watching some of these content creators, and I'll be giving them a side eye like, listen, I'm even hearing certain leaders as well, world leaders. I'm telling you, people are listening.
Everything that we do.
Yeah. Because you know, I like to be bad. I smoke some cigarettes. I like to do bad things. I smoke some cigarettes.
You see, what they should have done, and what they can do if they want to get out of this with less pain, is invite our theologians and our academics to.
Oh no! Say that again. Say that again.
I said, what they need to do is to invite QTUA, our academics, our theologians, our thought leaders, to speak to them, right, and formulate a strategy in which will let them come out with less pain, but they're not going to do it.
No, are you talking about the West, or are you talking about
West?
Credit.
No.
Yeah, you got to.
Their pride won't allow them to do that.
No, they're not allowed to give us any credit. They'll never give us any credit. We'll get credit on the continent, but not here in the West. That is literally, you're swallowing the poison pill. You'll never have any of us on an Al Jazeera, on an Al Arabia, on a on any other platform, First Post, none of that. That's not going to happen. And we're really not even all that extreme. We're just explaining what's happening. They're reporting. They can even look at what I just read with AI's Gemini, and that's really extreme. And that's AI saying it. I didn't ask any question that was too hyperbolic or too, outstanding like that. It was, hey, what could be the effect on African Americans? Because why? Because once African Americans are affected, who do you think is affected next? The UK? Hello? Then from the UK? The Caribbean? Because why? Much of the Caribbean is still under Commonwealth. A lot of people don't even understand much of the Caribbean is still under Commonwealth. Well, all right.
Yeah, but it happened before, not too long ago with the Windrush. They just picked up people of Caribbean descent.
Yep.
Never bothered to switch to British passports, or even if they had it, they scrapped them up and sent them back to the Caribbean. And then the heat became too much. Then they admitted that they were at fault. But the thing is that they haven't brought everyone back. Neither have they paid the people who lost their houses, their jobs, their livelihood, and many people died because they're cut off from medications that they
explain that again. Please explain that again, Brother ASAP. And if I can ask you if you can get to a place that has a little bit of a better reception of internet connectivity, because we're getting a lot of feedback. Because I just explained that. I just explained that 2 days ago.
Yeah,
When
there is
you
an issue
go
with
free.
the internet when it comes to us.
Oh, of course. I know. Of course.
Yeah, I've moved right in the room where the router is now. Is it better?
It's a little
Much
bit better.
better.
Yeah. As I was saying, there was a Windrush scandal when the conservative government of this country was in power, where they decided that they were going to get rid of the people from the Caribbean. And how they did it was that all the records going back to the 1940s, where parents and grandparents served in the Second World War, and those that came after were destroyed completely. And that made the residents here of the Caribbean descent and their children illegal immigrants. And they, yeah, which is what's happening in with Donald Trump in America at the moment. And they scraped up everyone, whether they're born here or not, and sent them to the Caribbean. And our governments were so weak that they accepted the people back, because all of them belong to the same apron wearing club. And a lot of people died in the Caribbean that were elderly who needed support. Some of them were cut off from pensions. And when the outcry came because of the protests and them finding out that they made a so-called mistake, they tried to correct it by bringing back just a few people, while a lot of people lost their houses, their jobs, and their lives and livelihood because of the Windrush scandal. And there hasn't been much compensation paid out.
Right. Yes, I
Apart
was about
from
to
them
say.
renaming a few railway lines and a few trains, the Windrush line and the Windrush train and all that kind of stuff, hoping that they'll placate the seething anger that's bubbling up in the so-called Afro-Caribbean and African community. But the tail has been wagging the dog for a long time, because I've been going through a lot of my prior managers' LinkedIn, and I found out that a lot of the guys that were preventing me from getting promoted and getting ahead were DEI hires. They didn't have no qualification. They didn't have a degree, but they were telling me that I haven't got the ability to do X, Y, and Z, when they themselves have no qualifications. One of my managers in 1989, despite the fact that at that time I had 2 bachelor's degrees and he had none, said to me I had learning difficulties. The same rhetoric, which is what your president is spewing out towards us at the moment and people he doesn't like. Oh, they got low IQ.
Well, remember, look, they feel threatened by people like me. I was that threatening Negro, and I would be very cordial. I'm always cordial. I'm cordial to everybody, white folks, black folks. It doesn't matter. I'm cordial to people. But what I don't do is I don't overlook foolishness, and I call out foolishness. That's why I'm threatening, and I had been threatening because I would question, well, why is this? Well, why is that? Does that make sense? Well, that's part of the program. Come on, Captain Copeland. That's part of the program. And it was me. I consciously made the decision to leave. I consciously made the decision to get on up and bounce from active duty. And I said, y'all never going to see me again, except when I turn my paper in to retire. That's what I told them. I did my last drill, and I said, I'm going to drill so I can get my retirement. I ain't doing anything else. Matter of fact, this is real ignorant because this is 2021. You're supposed to shave and everything else. I ain't shaved. I had a full beard. I hadn't done anything in like 6 months. I had a full beard.
You went in there with a full beard.
I went on in there. I dropped my retirement paperwork. I said, Here's all my stuff. Well, sir, you didn't have all your. I say, here's my points. Get everything corrected, and I'm out. Well, sir, don't you want to have some opportunities? You've been off for almost a year, and we can do this and do that, and you don't have to worry about taking a shot because I know that you know they were begging me. No,
I was just about to say, oh, the begging. You know that when they beg,
and they're like, well, you know, you're going to be up for major in like less than a year. You know that you don't want your career to be over now. You know, you're a great asset to the Army. You're awesome.
That's
like,
probably the first time they actually probably. Wow, when they're desperate, they will tell you the truth.
No, they were gonna give me everything that I wanted and then some. But I
and
said,
then probably find a way to snatch it back. You do know that,
oh
right?
yeah, they'll find a way to snatch it back. Oh yeah, they'll find a way. And I was like, I said, my heart's just not in this. I told him that. I said, my heart's not in this. And you know, and I said this. I said, the Most High has me moving in a different direction.
Mm.
It's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me.
Oh, sorry. Okay, that was funny. That almost made me choke. Excuse me.
You know,
you really said that? Did you really say that to him? Then?
Yeah, I said, listen. I said, I am a Bible-fearing believer. And Hamashiach. You call the Messiah, I call him Hamashiach. I said I'm a Bible-fearing believer. And this isn't the direction where my Savior wants me to move in. I said, you know, and I've told you this. I come from an apostolic background where my dad is an evangelist. I said, I didn't hide that anything on my shoulder. Look, I was always in the Word. I was there even reading the Bible. It was always on my desktop. Scriptures and then work. And honestly, most Black folks in the military, that's our setup.
That's what they do. Yeah, I know, because it's like, we need to know that we're riding with the Most High.
Do you know how many Bible-believing Hebrews are literally in the Army right now? And they know that they're
Because you will see too much. That's why. And especially if you're in the so-called Middle East, you will know the truth. If you see the people that are there, you're going to be like, okay, we are the people.
But a lot of our people that were in there and they understood, there was a lack of spiritual maturity. Because when they did get exposed to the truth, it gets hard on people. It gets hard on people. I've had those conversations. Hey, Captain Copeland, how do you deal with that? Like, yeah, I know I'm a Yahudi. I know I'm an Israelite. What are you gonna do, Captain? Look, I'm doing this because this is where the Most High has sent me. There's one guy that I used to work with. He lives up round the way from me over in Land O'Lakes. Good old Gary. I still remember him. He's like, look, I know we're Israelites. We're the Israelites of the Bible. He had no qualms of that, and we would always have discussions. It's like, yeah, it said he had his PhD in I think technology, but he said, yeah, I wrote a book on that. We're there. We're heavy. Look, there was a time I had met out with a congregation in Orlando, and there was a lieutenant colonel that was a chaplain on McDill, and she said, we were talking. She said, you know, our people are waking up because I saw one of our people walking around in fringes on the base.
So,
You know, but the
the
reality
image in
is,
my head's just, yeah.
but the reality is that our people had been waking up. It's just that you're not waking up in the most conducive relation or area in the Bible, or excuse me, in the most conducive area in this awakening, because the same people that you are then employed by, that you are then contracted, that you have then given oaths to, are the same people that had been there to literally destroy you since 1450. How do you reconcile that? Well, you know, I'm just going to serve the Most High and give him praise. And I know I'm like Daniel, and Daniel had favor up in Babylon and Sumeria, and that, you know. And, you know, for me, I'm going to tell you this. I spent 3 years on active duty. I knew who I was. I was awake. I knew who I was. But I said, thank you, Father. I said, this is my last stint, because I can't do this, because it didn't feel. I'm going to tell you this. I used to love being in the military. I used to love my job. I used to love going to work. I was that person. Like, yeah, you know, walk around, got my little coffee mug, and, you know, would be talking to people and working with people. I was that person. But then I woke up and I understood that, you know, trying to reconcile things, it's hard. You can't serve two masters. I'm telling you that. You can't. And now you have a whole bunch of Negroes like me serving in the military, and they're asking the questions. To who? Their subordinates. And their subordinates are asking the questions. To who? Their bosses. And their bosses are sitting up at the DOD level, and they're saying, we got to get these niggas up on out of here. You got Pete Hegseth and all those folks. Well, we got to take out DEI and we got to take out this. Why? Because that's what they were trying to equate it to. Because why? You have to frame everything. That's what they have to have. They have to frame everything. Because the reality is this: they're losing the information war. They've lost the information war. Mm-hmm. They lost it on us. I'm going to say they lost the information war on us about 3 years ago.
General Langley admitted that. General Langley, before he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a big hit in Africa. He made every voodoo pot in Africa.
Yep. Yep. He was trying. Why? Because he was trying to do the same playbook of, you know, the whole Jedi mind trick, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working. It wasn't working for our people. And now people in Africa are looking at folks here in America, the diaspora, particularly America, not to discredit anybody there in the UK or anyone else, but we make the biggest splash. We do.
You've gone through the worst atrocities. I don't want that, to be honest with you. You've got the space to do what you need to do. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, most of our influences are either Kemet or Nation of Islam.
Well, yeah, and you have that, but you even have in that, they even know who they are.
Oh, they do. They do.
Who they are.
You've even a lot of our brothers and sisters that are in Islam know that they are
know,
Israelites.
Yeah.
Which makes I said to one of them, so why are you in this religion? You do know where it says in the Bible, there you will know other gods, those gods that you have not known, gods of wood and stone. And then he's like, well, are you a Christian? Like, no, that would be the wood that I came out of, and you're still in the stone.
Because for them, it's still a defiance of, well, we're not going against we're going against the West and we're going against the Pope. Okay. Look, I don't even care. Explain to me what's happening in Dubai with their whole interfaith thing. Explain that to me.
Yeah, those three
They can't
buildings.
reconcile it. They can't reconcile it. This is why they know that you have to understand Islam knows they're in trouble, especially there in the Middle East.
You know they knew they were in trouble when Traore turned them down.
When Traore literally turned his back on Saudi Arabia, they were in trouble. You know when that happened? That happened less than 90 days ago. Hey, we're going to work with you and do this and do that. But I want you to build they want to build like a ridiculous number of
Build a mosque. He's like, no, I think I'm going to feed my people first. Yeah.
Yep. He said no. He said we don't need to have time for that because we need to really
for
work
that,
on,
you know.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't need to have time for wood and stone. We don't. We don't need to have
time. You know, the Christians' talking point about Ibrahim Traore was mainly that he was a Muslim, but this has removed that talking point as a major issue now. So what do we get now? They're completely silent.
Yeah.
Christianity is silent, actually. It's funny.
Yeah.
They're very silent.
And Garth had put on in there, 300 mosques.
I'm sorry, whoa. They wanted him to build 300 mosques over building roads, hospitals, schools, housing. These big taps in their heads.
What do you think you have here in the United States? What do you how many churches are literally within a mile here in the United States?
It's like that in Jamaica as well.
How many churches?
And you understand
your centers of control.
Right. I was just going to say that. You'll see a huge amount of them wherever there are highly melanated people.
Mr. Shanto. It looks like a UK problem. Your reception is not good. You'll have to repeat what you said again.
Okay.
I can hear Sister Chantel. Brother Asaf, you have some issue connection. I can hear. So that's why I'm trying to do my little internet studio engineering.
My bosses are listening in. They read the transcripts of my two books.
Oh, Betty, I want to answer that question. Certain Saudi Arabian citizens live dirt poor. Certain ones. I'll answer that question because you understand 70% of Saudi Arabians of African descent. 70%. And you want to know why? I've seen that with my own eyes. They had a living by IKEA. They had a living by IKEA. And I stopped there too. And I just went to the little mall that they had. And I just wanted to walk around and see. And I was, I'm in my little Western wear and things of that nature. They're coming up to me. Kefalik. Alhamdulillah, just speaking in Arabic. I said, Metflek, Mafalek, something like that. I knew better Arabic at that time. I said, I'm actually American. Amerikia. Takala Ulangelazia. That's English. I said, I speak English. Oh, I am so sorry. Oh, you look like us.
You're thinking, you look like me.
Yeah, you look like me. Look, we're one and the same. You don't know. They don't, and the thing is, they don't know, but they got internet. They know now. Trust me, they know now.
The time I realized, I think it was years ago though, but the time I realized that what the Earth really truly looked like was when I found out about the Sentinelese Islands, and when I realized, hold on, that's right next to India. If it's next to India, why do they look more African than Indian? and certain other places in the Pacific Ocean and in the Indian Ocean, they look like us. I'm not saying that they are Israelites, because not all of them are, but you do realize that you understand. Hold on. So you look exactly like me. You're dark. You've got kinky, coily, curly hair. You look like me. You look some of them like, you look like my aunt, or you look like my uncle, or you look like my dad. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, and then when you look around everybody else and you see these lighter, whiter looking people, it's like, well, where do you know, I loved when they used to say things like, oh, it's down to you know, the people up north, it's because they were in hot countries, and the sun darkened their skin, and also down to the food you eat, it changes you. And I'm like, okay, if that's true, then please explain to me why you look the way you look, white and everything, living where you are, but you've got Eskimos living further up north in the coldest regions, and some of them are dark, like real dark. Explain that. And they can't. They can't. Yes, Richard Long, I agree with that as well. It is an anomaly. I can never say that word properly. Has Karis gone somewhere?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
I was like, is this my show? Do I get the show? This is gonna boot you off and be like, it's the Chantel show. Woo!
No,
Let's
no.
talk about something.
No, I was caught up in something. You know, I get a lot of different emails and things. I was wondering where Brother Ace. Okay, Brother Ace says his internet is gone. He got kicked out.
You got helicopters flying over your head, Uncle. The other day I had them. I think that was the day that I was having.
Y'all are the most heavily monitored. You gotta remember, y'all are heavily monitored.
Oh yeah, we are. You go out of your house. The minute you go out of your house, you are constantly under surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of cameras that we have everywhere, it's the most surveilled city on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Just popping around the corner, and you've probably been filmed at least 300 times or something like that.
Yeah, well, and don't feel bad, Brother ASAP, because what's ended up happening is, this channel I know is definitely heavily shadow banned, and they mess with the streams a lot, unfortunately. And here's it, because again, I think a couple of years ago we were telling folks, what you say in the chat, YouTube monitors that. So you're not just gonna say things, you know, willy-nilly. And the reality is that I get left with the repercussions of what people are saying in the chat. So when you come in the chat and then you start to say, I hate, and it's like, no, nobody's saying they're hating anybody in here. I don't come on in here and I don't have a spirit of hate on anybody. Now, am I trying to correct people? Absolutely.
I agree with what Cammy Nelvis just said. Why are they so paranoid and nosy? Is that nosy or noisy? Did you mean noisy or nosy? Because if you mean nosy, yeah. If you mean noisy, yeah.
Haven't they always been paranoid with us when we talk about something that is outside their purview? Look, if you're talking about something that they can't lie about, then they're going to be nosy. If you're talking about, you know, racing people and doing some mukbang challenges, they don't care. They want you to be as ignorant and as entertained as a fool as possible. We done gave you those verses on foolishness. That's what's going on.
Uh, I love when they act stupid. I'm sorry. I don't. Do you know
But
one of my favorite shows to watch? I don't care. It was my guilty pleasure because I enjoyed watching just how dumb they were. Was what's it called? Jersey Shore.
well, yeah,
Sorry.
but that's not it. Yeah, but that's not everybody. But that's what they want
I
to.
know it's not
They want
everybody,
to
but
have
what I'm saying,
extreme.
I'm glad it weren't us. I don't want to
Yeah,
see us acting like that. They used to do things like that. I'm not saying that we don't ever do that, but when I see them doing that, it's almost like the things I used to get triggered when, they'd copy our music and our this and all that. And I'm like, now it's like we're casting off these things. You can't
they don't get
imitate us where we're
they don't even
going.
get they don't even get good ratings anymore on their reality TV shows, and they actually realize that the trashier that the reality TV shows would get, the more of a turnoff that would be towards us. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
We actually do not like seeing ourselves in a negative image like that anymore.
No.
And the reality is that we're actually trying to understand and create positive. Like here's the thing. You know why they're going after Tyler Perry now, right? He's the next one. You know
What's
why they're
that?
going after Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's the
Oh yeah. I know you too. Yeah.
the movie producer, director
Yeah.
thing, Medea. Because why? Because he's not getting
Watch that
results.
show. I can't watch it. I stopped watching that ages ago. I'm like, they're all the
I
same,
can't
and now
get
they're
it.
so
I can't.
terrible.
It's all man bashing, right? Making men
Yeah. And not
effeminate,
only that, the
making
biggest
women
man bashing is
masculine.
him doing that. Him in that out. I can't even watch white chicks. I can't. I can't watch it. Hubby loves it. I can't watch it. He's like, but it's fine. I'm like, no, I can't watch it. I cannot. My soul can't take it. I try. Yeah, I watched it a few times, and when it came out, it's like, but then it's like,
Let me tell you about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Some of the Real Housewives of Atlanta are classy, and some of them aren't. So you
yeah.
get a little bit. So people watch because they get the classy, and then you have the other ones that are kind of ratchet. And when you realize the ones that are kind of ratchet, they don't stay on that show very long.
No, they don't actually.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why you have a very, a dynamic on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But when you do see with Tyler Perry and stuff, you see it's all ratchet. It's
And
all
and,
ratchet all the time. And
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 that's the
and,
thing when
and
they're not
that's the
watching
turn
it.
off.
Yeah, we're not like I didn't even watch. What's it called? Is it Empire? Is it Empire?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even watch Power
I didn't
either.
watch. Yeah, I
I,
didn't watch
I just
Empire. I didn't
I
watch
couldn't
Empire.
watch it. I couldn't watch it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm
I
sick of
didn't.
these shows.
I did watch Power. I'm not gonna lie. I did watch Power.
I started watching it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so bored.
But
I've seen it all before.
but then later on, especially when you understand the dynamics even of the as the TV shows, then they actually had to in 2023. Then they actually had to provide some sort of an empowering message. They actually
Mm.
even in all the ratchetness. Oh well, we want you to do better. We want you to do better for the generations because you have to do all this. You have to, and then it's like, oh,
After they've indoctrinated you with
come
so
on,
they can cover themselves. That's all it is.
exactly. Oh well, this is actually the message that they want to hear because why? Because they're hearing it from us. They're
But it's
hearing
like
it from our people.
they think that we're so they. This
But
whole
here's the
election has
problem.
told them. Should
Here's
told
the
them. Should
problem that
told them
they
that.
have. You know the problem that they have? The problem that they have is their people are eating up the garbage that they had for us.
Yes, yes. Oh
That's
my
the
gosh,
problem.
it's
That's the problem.
That's it.
And it's funny because it's like the curses are reversing. Oh man, they want to be white rappers with all these tattoos, and it's like our people
I
didn't
look at it
even
and I'm like,
understand.
ew,
Our
man,
people didn't even
ew.
understand what tattoos actually meant, and now our people are really saying, "Man, I wish I didn't get the tattoos." Remember, tattoos were at the highest in what 2007, 2008. And then you have the boule people. We got to get tattoos. They're still trying to push all those tattoos. The black dude from Shark Tank. Oh, I got a tattoo around
No,
my
I
neck.
don't even have one.
All the stupid. But you had to understand, our people are like, we're not doing tattoos anymore.
I
Because
don't even
why?
have one. I don't have any.
Because why? Because a lot of our people, especially when you understand and you're growing up in the faith, when you're growing up reading the word, we're not yoking ourselves to their demons.
Sorry, Tyler Ferry.
Yeah. We're not and now we're speaking up about that. Look, we're now yoking ourselves to their demons. Their demonic.
Exactly. You're literally writing there. Come on. Look. I don't even like needles anyway, so I weren't even about that. But it's like it's forever, and I'm the type of person I get bored easily. So
you understand that what Donald Lee is saying. Yes, the shows and the music is the era of Balaam, making us curse ourselves, so the hand of Yahweh will stay against us. But who was the one promoting all these tattoos? Right? NBA players, football players, actors, entertainers. You got to get the tattoos because successful people have tattoos. And it's like, no, successful people do. Yes, Babylon's version of success.
exactly.
This version of success, actually, the Most High hates and detests that. Why do you think? Oh, my goodness. And I just had this. I was just thinking about this today. Brands and branding. Brands and branding. And it wasn't today.
Can I just say something before you think?
Go ahead.
When I see them with these tattoos all over their faces, especially, the palm, it looks dirty. Like you look grimy. You look like you need to have a sponge and just scrubbed.
But what is the ultimate? They're showing their brand.
Yeah, and it's degrading as well. You don't even realize that we came out of slavery from that.
But let me explain that. The branding. I had to think about. I was thinking about this last night. I'm like, oh man, we all want to promote our brands. Everybody wants to promote our brands. Do you even know where they get the word the brand from? To be branded as cattle, to show the ownership of that person, that personage, to whatever entity that person belongs to. That's branding. I said, Father, I'm not even gonna worry about branding because it's not like, to me, just thinking about the root words, man, that's straight up demonic.
And then you got people that brand their eyeballs like
but what are they doing? They're showing their
because they want to look they're showing you the demon within them, because that's just straight up demonic. Like you risk going blind to just like there was a white woman on TikTok who literally she branded her face, right? And she said, I saw my grandma, and her face when she saw my face is the reason why, because like she was talking about how she's getting it removed, and she says it is so painful. She says, I don't know why I did it. I really don't know why I did it.
Because what are they? Look, they rejected the Most High, and they're going into this wickedness. When you actually look at what was going on in Egypt before Egypt fell, before we left Mizraim, before our ancestors departed there, do you know that they could find the Egyptians based off of all the crap that was being branded on their bodies? The same exact thing. The same exact thing. Nothing never changed. The same exact thing. And now all of these folks, I'm like, okay, look, when you brand yourself, you are literally giving yourself over to that demonic authority. I don't care what you want to say. I don't care how nice you are. You're giving yourself over. You're giving yourself over to that demonic authority. Now, do you understand what's happening? Now, in this time frame, where you've already took the brand of that one, just take a wearable and you know, just get an ink tattoo. This tattoo is gonna have
Exactly. You've already done
nanobites. You don't need it's just like a tattoo. You know, you just have it right there, and we can make it real cool. So when you scan it, you know, what do you want? A butterfly? What do you want? A bird? What do you want? You know, we can make it whatever you get what I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is now what's happening in this time frame when you're now seeing these people that have yoked themselves to wickedness. Okay, this is the cattle for the slaughter. This is the cattle for the slaughter. Because why? Because their sins have reached to the heavens. Because why? Hey, it's cool. See, black people did it, and look, and all the black people getting all these tattoos. I don't even understand why black folks get tattoos. You know what that looks like to me? I can't even like. I'm just gonna be
on
be
dark
honest.
skin. It just doesn't look
On
good.
dark
If I'm
skin,
going to be honest,
it just looks like I have to look to make sure. I'm like,
looks like veins.
yeah, I'm like, did they suffer from a burn? I'm thinking that they're like burn victims.
Hey, look, let's not be rude, right? But for me personally, I don't like it. It looks weird. It really does. On them, it looks dirty. On us, it looks veiny. And I don't know. Maybe you need maybe do you know what I tell you who it suits or who should have it is this people that it originated with. I think it was like the Maori, like they do it. It's theirs. It's their culture. They know why they do it. They know what they're yoked to. Let them do it. It's not for us.
Well, but understand, they do it. They've done that in their culture. They branded in their culture. You better understand what them Europeans were doing years or centuries ago, millennia ago. You better understand that was their culture that they imparted on us because why? Because they were yoked to what? They were yoked to their God.
Karis, sorry, have you seen what Uncle Asif just wrote down?
All right, thank you. I
You can't see
appreciate
it
it.
now.
Appreciate it.
No, Susu.
And now here we go. Here we go. This is June 13th. I think this is what Brother Asaf had put on out. That the ban on Israelis flying out raises red flags. This is during the war, right? And
What, they're
now,
banning them from going anywhere?
yeah, and now I believe I was trying to find some articles because I believe that they're now leaving in droves in this quote unquote ceasefire per se. They know what time it is. They know what time it is. And
Where? I thought that was their home.
and more like a Mediterranean vacation home.
See, here's the thing: you don't know where you're supposed to go. Where do you go? You can't even say, "I'm going to go where my DNA says I'm from." Like you, it was illegal. You kind of
Remember,
don't
yeah,
know.
they can't do their DNA tests unless they're legally authorized to.
So
Because they don't.
these countries don't have to take you. They can say, "You ain't from here. I don't know where you from. Go back to where you came from."
They're going to be stateless citizens, but where are they going to be accepted to?
Where can you be stateless to be stateless?
Where do you think they're emptying out?
Exactly.
Where are they emptying out right now in the Supreme Court to bring in? Who do you think? What do you think? And that's why I wanted to also add, as Brother Asaf had stated earlier, what is that? That's a liquidation. Windrush was what? A liquidation. Okay. Your accounts are now sitting there, and we had to close your account. So guess where that goes? The money goes back to who? To the state, to the government, because the account's no longer maintained. Well, we got to put it back. It goes back to the treasury.
So they're gonna go. Sorry to cut you. So the plan is for they'll put them on, tubs and ferry them across the Atlantic and put them with the other ones that they took from the southern region of our home to be amongst them, to hopefully in their mind to be amongst you, because
no. No, you're not understanding this. By the time they get here, we're
Mhm.
gonna be gone.
Oh yeah, no. I wasn't saying that's what was going to happen. I'm saying what they're
Oh,
hoping
that's
to
what they're
do.
hoping for. Yes,
Yeah,
because they were hoping to reinstate their caste system. That is why I
yes.
put that there in Gemini. Gemini said, "Hey, there'll be second class citizens again." That's what Gemini's saying. That's what the
You won't
robot's
even be, yeah, but you won't even be second class citizens.
saying. Mm-mm.
You won't be citizens. To be
Except
second class citizens, you'd have to be a citizen. You're
exactly.
technically not a citizen. The
And
first
where do you
the
think that you would fall into? Where do you think that number one, black folks would? How would that happen?
well, it'll be a tier system. I think that they'll get rid of
No,
everybody else. That's
no. You have to understand.
no, not
You
with
send
our
people.
people
You
would be
send
at the
people
bottom.
back. They're gonna send people back to where they came from. They're gonna
Yeah,
send people
that I
back
agree with.
to the continent. So now they have to have the mechanism on the continent to bring us over there. They're
Are
not.
you talking
Now,
about what they want to do or what is going to happen?
I think no. I believe what's going to happen. What they want to do is going to be
Oh no,
accomplished.
I'm talking about what they want to do. I'm not talking. I know what's going to happen because I already know what the scripture says. But what
Oh yeah.
they
Well,
want to do,
yeah, they want to go down to those parts of Africa, and that's not going to end up happening. Now, what they will do is they're going to be accepted here in a heartbeat. They're
mhm,
going to be accepted here. Trump will have the narrative of, well, these are the people, and this is this, and blah blah blah. And guess what? They're going to be coming over
ooh,
here in a heartbeat. The problem is, as we leave, remember that shield goes down.
mhm,
They're it ain't Golden Dome that's been protecting them. It's called Melanin Dome.
exactly. But you know, it'd be really interesting them going there, and then they'll change the narrative that is the chosen land, because some of our people foolishly calling that the land. I'm just wondering how they're going to spin that. But these people are spin doctors. They know how to. Oh, they spin
Well,
better
they're
than
gonna
a
they're gonna
DJ.
they're gonna say this. They're gonna say, look, it's a jubilee year. Something crazy will just come on. We got to make things right again because
And Christians will
we have
eat
to be
that
like
up.
they have to say we have to maintain our righteousness as part of being righteous.
They might even try to spin it as we are going into the captivity, the
Yeah, we're gonna
400
be
year.
We're gonna be going into captivity.
Yeah, they might
They'll
spin it
say,
as, oh,
yeah,
this is our 400-year captivity. Like,
yeah.
but
Who knows?
that already happened.
Who,
They will copy everything that we have done because that's what they've done.
yeah,
I mean, like I said before, I really believe that they will try to use what we've gone through to put it on themselves, to say, look, these curses of Deuteronomy 28, it's us, because remember, the Bible does say they're going to go through what we went through, but it's going to be, well, double their double. So they're going to go through something far worse, and then eventually, while probably in the midst of it, they're probably going to say, look, we're the chosen. Look, this is that we've been scattered, we've been this, we've been that.
yeah. They're gonna reunite with their tribes, their scattered tribes.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, look, they already have that there. They already have that narrative going that, well, white people are the people.
A few hundred years,
It,
people will forget. Most people forget things that happened a few weeks ago.
oh yeah, a few hundred. Yeah, exactly. They're gonna be saying they're doing double for this and that, and afterwards, and they're gonna take. Remember how they gonna have an evil thought in their mind. This is gonna pass down from generation to generation to generation.
Mhm,
It was black people that did this to us.
mhm. And they'll
That's
probably
the
use the old
countdown.
terms.
We leave
They'll
their
use it as
countdown.
old terms.
Their countdown is it all started when black people left. We need to reconquer.
Get them back.
hmm They have to come with a 1,000-year plan to get them back, to get us back.
I don't even think it's going to be 1,000 years, if I'm going to be honest. I really don't. I think it's going to be a far longer time period than they think it
Oh,
was.
it may be. Yeah, it may be.
I just keep thinking about double onto their double. That's all I keep saying. Me and Eric are probably the only two that are like, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot worse. Because
No,
it
it's
was
gonna be
mainly them
worse.
that kept talking about 1,000 years, 1,000 years of prosperity, 1,000 years of this and 1,000 years of that. And I'm like, well, where did you get this 1,000 years from? Because yeah, just
Well,
yeah.
and the funny thing is, you have to understand, as I believe that we always think that, we always think, man, in the physical, wow, they're going to be burned with fire, right? In Revelation 17 and 16. That's what I read earlier. However, people don't understand how do you get burned with fire. You just don't. All of a sudden, you know what? They just got mad and they got burned with fire. No. Why are they going to get burned with fire? What do you think? What is the worst thing for anybody of European, Japhetic, Ashkenaz, Gomer? I don't care. God, my God. What's the worst thing ever for them? To be lied to and to be stolen from.
I was going to say sun, but whatever. It's just me.
To be lied to and to be stolen from.
But yeah, they don't like being lied to, and they don't like people that steal from them, which is the irony.
Exactly. The worst thing that they hate is what
exactly Fort Living Room. The sun. That's exactly what I was thinking.
But you get what I'm telling you. The thing that they hate, the worst, is what they do the most of. I mean, and it's not to pick a fight or to be, callous, but it's truthful because that comes out of their mouth. I hate being lied to. Okay, well, why did you indulge that lie? Well, and then they can't give you an answer. They can't give you a response because why? Because they were enjoying that lie. They were benefiting from that lie.
Exactly.
And so now, when they have to confront the lie that they were benefiting from, they're not going to accept it. They're going to find the target. Here's the target. You get what I'm telling you? The U.S. has now made itself the low-hanging fruit. That was why they have Trump here, to make themselves a low-hanging fruit, to make themselves as, man, everybody hates this place. It will all be better if this place just goes away. It solves Europe's problems. Right? This is what I showed.
I wish Europe or the Europeans would stop thinking like that, because at the end of the day, America is just nothing more than a subgroup of you. You are the root.
It is, but you have to remember, they're trying to avoid judgment too.
I know. And oh my gosh, like I said last week.
But that's what they have for an hour. Look, I don't care the mechanisms. I'm just pointing out the mechanisms. That has nothing to do with me. However this thing goes down, it has nothing to do with me. But I can tell you how it goes down. We can see how it goes down. We can even start to triangulate what's happened here, there, and everywhere based off of their actions.
It's funny though, isn't it? It's like they'll cut each other off. What's the saying? There's no honor amongst thieves.
Yeah, exactly. And we were just reading those scriptures. Why? Because they're trying to get their power. Man, I got to get my gold back. Do you know how many articles have been talking about Europe trying to get their gold back from the United States?
Yeah, but it's not really theirs, though, is it? Any gold, any gold you have don't belong to you. Please show me where you have gold mines.
But understand, we were collecting the gold after what? Bretton Woods Agreement, after what? World War II, things of that nature. However, However, I believe the gold is going to transfer back to Europe if it hadn't
And then back
already
to
done
us.
so, and then it'll transfer back to the United or to Africa. Because why? Because again, there's going to be a spoilage to where they're going to have famine in the land. Because why? They don't have resources. So whatever you can't eat gold. I'm just saying you can't eat gold.
Pay me.
Yep. Bring our gold
Oh, you
back.
want a loaf of bread? I want 1 gold bar for that loaf of bread. What? But that's you can't do this to me. You're ruining me. I don't care. Give me
They're
my
going to get
food.
ruined. Yes, they're going to get ruined. But you have to understand. Excuse me. You have to understand. It doesn't matter. That's how the beast system's going to work.
Mm.
Russia and China are going to be running the order for at least an hour, for at least the time frame.
And the fact that it says an hour, not a day, but an hour,
Well,
not a year.
and now, an hour to me it's a moment of time.
Yeah, I agree. But
as
it's
America's rule? Not really. Will it
I
still
think
be
it'll
a time
last
of
shorter.
rulership? Honestly, could that hour be? Remember, there's agenda.
I don't mean a literal hour. I know some people do actually believe that, but that's just like
It's a short period of time. I think, to be honest, that hour may be, what they're seeing in Agenda 2063 for the African Union. That's Agenda 2063.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have their period of time. They're going to try to, in my opinion, I think honestly, they're going to have they're going to try to rebuild. Let's give you everything that we have so we can rebuild. Because why? Because resources come from Africa. Who's stopping those resources coming to them right now? The U.S. Well, it's the U.S.'s fault, and we got everything. Look, you got to remember, the whole point of the story is they got to have a villain, so then they can turn around and say, "Hey, well, it wasn't really our fault. It was that place over there in America that was. We couldn't do anything. Our hands were tied." I wanted to find the article for Viktor Orban, the prime minister over in Hungary, where he was basically calling for a mass EU rebellion
against America.
Yeah.
There's some Europeans that really don't like your country.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking I'm not talking about the people. Yeah, of course, but I mean like the politicians.
Oh yeah.
Really can't stand
it's the political climate that's here, and now you have the political climate.
I'm talking about some of them have never liked.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But you have to also understand, remember, these kings that lost their power, they lost their power. They were kings, but they gave their power to Babylon. And now they gave their power to Babylon.
They really didn't have a choice, though. If they didn't, they would have been conquered by probably Russia.
Yeah,
Europe was so broken. There was no way they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was in their mind. It's like, okay, well, they're kind of like a subsidiary of us anyway. America, like most of our people are there, have gone over there, and which is, I think, another reason why they sent or they allowed some of their citizens to go over there, because it's like, well, if we have our people over there, it's like boots on the ground. We have access. We have some sort of established loyalty. So it's better that we give our people there and give dominance to them, as opposed to waiting around for Russia to come and exact its revenge. I mean, it's kind of like a no-brainer, really. They had no choice. They had to. But now they again, they're back if we're going to be honest, they're back in the same situation, because now you still got the dominance of Russia literally just looming over them, Russia and China now. But then now the country that you thought would be your attack dog is now toothless. He's an old little, he's just old and smelly and flea ridden and disgusting. And it's like he's nothing. He just wants to sit there and just get fed.
Yeah.
So it's like they've got no choice. They have to. They have to, for their own sake, for their own. And I knew where this was going. The minute like this dimwit blew up at the pipeline and then said, "Yeah, Russia did it." Like what?
Well, that was under the Biden administration.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about. I know I said this idiot. I'm not talking about Trump, but it's like, I mean, the idiot as in the policy. It doesn't matter whether it was Biden, it could have been Trump, could have been there. It would have still happened. The same thing would have happened, because it's literally going on a path, a trajectory that they want it to go left or right. It means nothing at this point. They're both going to do the same thing. It's just one does it in a roundabout way, while the other one is more direct. But it's going to end up in the same place. I do believe that there would have been a way, if Trump was in power, there would have been a way that he would have allowed this to happen, but probably tried to blame it on somebody else, which is exactly what Biden did anyway. But but at least I think Trump would have probably blamed it on a third party, rather than saying, yeah, Russia did it, when it's like Russia's like, why would I do that? The tap is on this side, the faucet is on this side.
They're making money on that side. Exactly. That was the stupidest thing. But remember, they had to have the narrative. And now I believe that it was I don't think it was really Trump, but I believe it was actually Europe. Let's just be honest. I think it was actually Europe that called the ceasefire. And they're just giving America, the credit just because.
Well, they don't want that.
Yeah,
well, they give America I think they're doing that for a few reasons. One of the reasons is they need the world to still believe that America has that kind of power.
Yeah, because that's how they operate. They have to operate in the power that the U.S. has.
Yes.
So
without that power.
Yeah, so they have to really appease, like, oh, Trump did everything. Honestly, I don't think he did. Honestly, I believe that was probably either a France, Germany, or some other European nation. Like, I know.
Don't say this country.
I know it's not. No, it ain't the UK. The UK is not. But
not like that anymore.
But they're probably
France or Germany, but I'd say France.
I think France too. I think it was France. And you'll probably have some articles coming on out like, yeah, it was really France that was begging,
France has got more to lose, if we're going to be honest.
Yes,
France has lost the most.
Yes, they do. They have more to lose than the U.S. did on even the Strait of Hormuz. So the U.S. didn't care if the Strait of Hormuz got closed. France would care. Because France doesn't have what they used to have. Remember, that pipeline was supposed to go from Burkina Faso. It was supposed to hook in Nigeria, Mali, Niger, Mali, even Nigeria, even parts of Ghana, to go into where? Into Algeria. And then from Algeria, it was going to tunnel under where? The Mediterranean.
Spain, Portugal, France.
Yep.
Actually, it was going to fork off it. Italy was going to get a piece of that pipe.
Yes.
As well. So there was it was almost like as if the pipeline was going to fork off, just like how you see the Nile. But it was, all of them wanted a piece of that pie. All of them. And I find it fascinating that Prime Minister of Italy, I'm not going to call her name, but we all know who I'm talking about, sat there and started talking about France is this, that, and the other, but yet still you put in a bid for a piece of pipe. Like, move yourself, man.
Yeah,
that's all they ever do. They're just there's no. It's like the oh my gosh, it is the heads of the beast.
Now here's the thing. Now if they're paying fairly, okay, and I think that was what she was trying to get on out, that they weren't going to be paying fairly. the Italians were going to be paying fairly. That's what she was trying to say. That the Italians are going to fairly compensate for the resources. So if you kind of see the good cop, bad cop scenario in Europe, Italy's trying to be the good cop. Hey, we understand. We know we're neighbors by sea. The game plan is there, but the power, the authority, the influence is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone.
I've been seeing a lot of things that some of these Italians have been saying about our people, and I'm like, okay, you keep that energy. I say that about anybody that wants to come for our people. Keep that energy.
But the Italians don't like to tell you that after World War II, after the implementation of the Marshall Plan, because don't get it twisted, Italy got messed up too.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Italy got messed up too. And guess who was there? Black folks were there building
straight
up
up from Africa.
Not just Africa, but also over in the diaspora, to include the United States. That was part of the Marshall Plan.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about Windrush was literally a derivative of the Marshall Plan. They didn't want black folks there, but they know they needed black folks there to help rebuild over in the UK. To help rebuild their downtowns. So this scenario, this situation that they're doing, whatever they're trying to do, right now, why is the world on edge? Why is the world, razor thin and things of that nature? Well, it's simple. Because they've lost control. Yep. You know what the funny thing is, Brother ASAP? You are actually correct. And now the Italians are actually saying they're Africans.
Yes. We talk about that a few years back.
Yeah, but why? Because they're trying to get resources. Now, here's the reality of this.
Chinese said the same thing too.
Yeah, and now, honestly, those claims to me, to be honest, not all Italians. Some Italians are African. That's my personal. And the reason I say that is because of the geographic location of Italy, because even in Italy, you still have Sicily. What do you also have? The continental plates. The continental plates that crash between the European and the African continental plates, which is what? Your Alps.
Mm-hmm.
It's your Alps.
There's been what they don't tell you is the divide that they have between the northern Italians with the southern Italians.
It's real.
It's almost the dynamics is almost like black versus white. It really is. Yeah. Because the northern ones, that's exactly what they could. You do realize that some. Well, I know you do. So some of them get called the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
They get called the N-word.
Yeah, they
know their history.
Yeah, they have a lot more kink. No, for real, they have a lot more kink to them. Yeah,
most people don't realize that.
And it's for real, yeah. If they're not from Sicily or Corsica, because why? Those were your traditional routes. Those are your traditional routes that got you from. And I love history, because you also have to understand Hannibal And you also have to understand literally how the start of the Roman Empire even got to be the way that they were. Oh man, Sister Gates of Holder covered a lot of that with the Etruscans and things of that nature. Because yeah, those are Edom. Those are all Edomite. Those are black folks.
And people start saying that Esau is the we, I'm not saying that he's not part of that, but at the end of the day, Esau was and has always
Esau
been
is all over. Yeah,
fundamentally
we
black.
have Esau, the derivative of Esau, he's black. The derivative of Esau, right? Abraham, father of blacks, of black folks. Isaac, the seed of Shemitic people. Because why? Because Ishmael was what? Technically Hamitic. More Hamitic because then he still married in to Keturah and the Cutterites, which are more Arabs. Yeah, and this is true. Yeah, Max Ferretti. Yeah, out of all European nations, Italy does have the most Y DNA. That's why, look, I want to tell you this. I've been to Europe a couple of times. They do not, man, they do not like Italians. Now they'll like but they're like, oh, I've been to Milan. I like Rome, Milanese Rome. You go further south, oh my goodness. The one airport that I would, this is how messed up this was. The last time I flew back from, what I fly back? It was Burkina Faso. I flew back. I had to fly from Burkina Faso to Ethiopia. I went from Ethiopia, and we sat on the tarmac in Rome for about 3 hours. We were not allowed to get off the flight. That was the worst flight I ever had. Total of 19 hours. Well, yeah, and the racism played on out here because, you know, you look at Italians, they didn't like Italians. Remember, Italians only got accepted after what? After when? After World War II. You all realize that, right? Italians only got accepted in the quote unquote the the construct of whiteness. That's why I tell you, white supremacy is literally a construct. They consider Northern Africans white. Here in the United States, it's white supremacy. It's a construct. I'm just letting you all know. Because, yeah, they know. Well, you had a lot in those areas. You actually had a lot of seafaring people. And what were those seafarers? Those seafarers would come from Africa. Those seafarers would come from other parts of Africa. Of course, when you're landing in a place and you're settling in a place, yeah, Phoenicians. Oh man, how do you have this E1B1A? How do you have this or this E1? How do you have this E DNA? They even have look. You understand that stuff runs deep. I think Sister Chantel, you can let us know how the Irish goes. That stuff runs deep, if I'm not mistaken. She may have had to step away, but yeah. You had the mafia because the mafia was trying to, skirt around things. Of course, that doesn't feel good if you are, under the Edomite structure and you get told that you're a lesser Edomite. you're a lesser value of Edomite, right? You have Edomite tribes in Africa, and they're a lesser value of Edomite. Because why? All they do, it's stratification to rule. This is Max Ferretti. Europe is like a GMO crop. It can only exist with the continual introduction of natural plants. That is true. Without the soil goes bad and you can't grow no more GMO. Yeah, that's why they open things up. It's ebbs and flows. Why? Every 80 years. Have you noticed that every 80 years there's a conflict in Europe? Look it up. Not just Europe, also here in the United States. Look it up. It's a natural cycle. You got to keep introducing people into the GMO pool. Then all of a sudden, and we can go down that line, that rabbit hole. If we do, we're going to be here forever. And I have to get going because I got to take my dad to a doctor's appointment. But thank you, Max. I appreciate the gift. Hallelujah. Yeah, you got to stack layers. You got to stack the mud. You got to get the clay. Because if you don't, it'll backfire. It won't look too good. It won't look very well. Why do you think they just came on out with gingers and this and gingers are black? Because they always have to stratify themselves to make themselves look good. The system is eating its own tail. This is Chantel say, Ouroboros. System's eating its own tail. But while that's going on, all we're doing is Ouroboros, yeah. But while that's going on, all we're doing is giving the Most High praise. If you're Gentile, if you're Gentile on out there, guess what? You could be included in the remnant as long as you humble yourself. And that's even for Israelites. You have to humble yourself. Getting out of this thing is going to be literally a test of humility for everybody. Because it's all about calling on the name of Yahusha. And there's going to be some really long faces in the Gentile community when what? Do you know how much that burns when you tell people the truth? Just imagine. Europe says, you want to know what? I got something. I got a joke that your mama don't like.
We kind of saw all that. Like, was it last week, the week before, when AI came out and told everybody, yeah, if I came down, if I was God or an angel and I came down and I had to choose a race, I'd choose black people. Then it was, this is why I'm not choosing why I didn't choose white people. And they went
livid. They went out their mind. But it's
Yeah.
gonna be like look. But I'm telling you, Europe is about to drop a Snoop Dogg line. They said, "I got a joke about your mama that you may not like." Oh, but yeah, when Europe opens that understanding of knowledge, because why? It's gonna be like, what is it? Cover wave. We just talked about this. Why do you think the Rome is where it's at in position? Rome is not just a seat of power, but it has the knowledge. What do you think Rome is gonna do? It's a backstab. It's a backstab. Okay, well, in order for us to survive, let me tell on a little bit of myself. Do you think it's going to really hit Europe that hard? Honestly, Europeans are going to be like, we're right next to Africa, so it makes sense to us. United States in this bubble, oh my goodness, that's a literal catastrophe. It'll be a literal catastrophe. So, Sister Chantel, if you have any final thoughts, comments, because this has been something.
Yeah, sorry. Literally just about to leave. Oh gosh, I'm late. Oh, where's my keys? Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was good, and shalom to everybody. Yeah. Down with America. Yeah. I gotta go.
No, we don't advocate that. We don't advocate that. Don't get my channel shut down. Don't get
my apologies. Don't worry. Like he loves America for real. For real.
I love America. I love me some Donald J. Trump. He is the Messiah.
Oh, good Lord.
America,
you might want to scale that back a bit.
America great again.
Man, make it believable.
Make it believable again.
Oh, I'm talking about you. You make it believable. Ain't nobody gonna believe that.
Trump is my savior, my orange Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Praise be Trump the Lord. Tammuz
Oh,
Trump. Tammuz
I feel
Trump, he is the Lord.
I feel somewhat defiled now.
Oh,
I need some holy water on me. Oh dear Lord.
I go to the first church of Trump and I got me a Trump Bible with my golden Trump shoes.
Oh my gosh, and they really go that deep too.
They do go that deep. For real, they go that deep. You didn't see the track that Yakoba had yesterday.
I missed it. I literally have to go back and watch.
Yo, you're gonna have to watch that one. They said that dude was the Christ.
Oh my, what?
Yeah, he brought peace to the earth with a ceasefire. He is.
Oh my gosh, are they really talking like that? Are they really talking like that?
Oh my, yeah.
I'm gonna have to, like, Yakoba don't love me no more. He don't care. He puts these. He does his thing so late. I'm like, I can't stay awake anymore. I can't stay awake anymore. So I have to try and catch up, and then I've got to catch up with everything else.
It is a very strong.
I think
the delusion's so strong. It is. It is gross. It is gross. The delusion's so strong. But yeah. Thank you, Sister Chantel.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Shalom to everybody.
I appreciate it because understand, it's actually kind of funny if you think about this. With the 14th Amendment, you know that everybody literally is in jeopardy. You realize that, right? It's not just us. It's not just black folks. That's everybody that is not what. And we have to think tribal. And I'm gonna try and touch on this here later on. But you have to think tribal. It's also, remember, what was the U.S. for? Who was the U.S. for? certain elements of Europe. So think about all those elements of Europe that came in after primarily what? The Civil War. And where was where did the United States, what parts of Europe was the United States trying to market towards? Who are they trying to grab? They were trying to grab the Scandinavian population, the Northern European populations. So if you aren't there in that populist group, you're in trouble. Or if you have any type of phonetic features that could even look of African origin, you are in trouble. Yeah, you may think that, okay, well, black folks are going, but you're going to find out the joke is going to be on you all. That doesn't matter. They're not native to the land. Who cares? We're not native to this land either. And if you want to think that you're Native American, hey, good on you. But yes, they wanted all the Germanic, the Nordic. That was it. Those are the Americans that they want. They've even told you that. That's who they want. If you south of that, look, even if you Spanish, if you south of that, you're going to be in trouble. Because why? Because they got more Moorish DNA in them. So, but again, don't get too comfortable because this stuff is happening around the world. And when it does happen, not if, when it does happen, I'm not trying to fear monger, because if you're prepared, you don't need to be in fear. The Most High allows us to prepare. He does. He gives us the understanding as whether or not you're going to be obeying what he's saying or you're going to be hard-headed. When you're hard-headed, that's when you need to fear. Just saying. But with that said, family, Most High willing, I'll be back on tomorrow with Q2A discussions. I'll be over at Q2A with Q2A discussions. I'll be on between 7:30 and 8:30 is when I'll start. Try to give me a little bit of time to sleep in just a little bit. So 7:30 and 8:30 at the latest. And we'll discuss some developments that's happening on the continent. Let me tell you, in the background, there are things that is happening and taking shape. I pray that one day the Most High will allow me to show that, and I don't need to worry about one day the Most High. The Most High will allow that to be revealed because it's all in His timing. It's all in His timing. But we'll discuss some recent events. And yeah, Brother Garth, if you want to come on in and we can discuss some things going on in Kenya, because that is very, very interesting. Very interesting, as well as what else is happening on the continent. So with that said, I'll be on tomorrow, Q2A. Thank you thank you all just for even your like, share, and subscribe. That does wonders. I'm gonna try to come on and share with you the truth, as much truth. I'm not gonna say as much truth that I can before getting booted off of YouTube. I'm gonna try to do that. But in doing so, again, when you are here, just as you have with Yakoba and Teu over at Teo Ministries, just what you have with Sister Shonda, just what you have with Pastor Rick Fletcher, Sister Gates of Holder, not too many of our channels are coming through and laying it on the line. So your support of like, share, subscribing, your support of Cash Apps, PayPal, results, it does make a very big difference. And not just supporting my channel, but supporting our community. That does help us in a tremendous manner. Here's the thing. If you don't want to even support this channel, I don't care. The Most High's got me. But at least support one of our other channels. That's it. Hearers and doers of the word. And the reason I can say that is because y'all will support Pastor like that when that collection plate comes. Oh, you know, here we go. Here we go. And I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but support our people. Brother Asad's book, support our people. Tayu's book, support our people. Sister Ashana's book, support our people. And get the word out that the Most High, He's doing this thing. It's not happenstance. It's called His will. For His glory. For His victory. So with that being said, if anything does come up, I don't even know what time I'll be back. I'll try to monitor the situation since I gotta be on this road here right about now. Thank you all for your prayers. Thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. Most High willing, if things don't go crazy, I'll be on QTUA. If they do go crazy, I'll jump on whenever I can, probably around 4 or 5, and we'll see what happens, because I didn't think that ceasefire was going to take that long, and I've already been seeing kind of the rumblings of what has been happening with certain things. So with that said, family, be blessed. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And that's for both the Israelites and our Yahusha fearing Gentiles. Because it's only a remnant. And I really want to be counted worthy. And I want everybody else to be counted worthy too. That's my job. And my job is to be a servant for His kingdom. We're all servants of His kingdom. And that kingdom is coming day by day by day, sooner than later. It really is. So with that said, shalom, salama, fiemi, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharel.